Hello again and welcome back. Quite some time ago now, I made a review for the Fruits Basket anime. Even at that time, I realized I was doing things kind of backwards because this is the review where I explain the plot and all that. But before I really dive into this review, I just want to leave a side note on pronunciation. I feel like every English-speaking anime fan has some trouble with pronouncing something. I tend to try to pronounce things the way that I hear them, mimicking them as best as I can, which is why sometimes I'll pronounce the same name differently from one show to the next. It can differ between watching the English version or the Japanese one. Now, overall, the Funimation dub for Fruits Basket was really good, but they did mispronounce a lot of their names, which has rubbed off on me, so I apologize if that bothers anybody. Now, because I prefer having a physical copy as opposed to a digital one, I don't exactly have a lot of money to spare. I don't read a lot of manga. Fruits Basket is one of the few series that I was actively reading while it was still ongoing. I remember waiting for the next volume to come out, which isn't something I've had to do since, either because so many series are so long by now, or because I just don't have as much time. Anyway, Fruits Basket is my favorite completed manga series that I've read thus far, and in my opinion, it greatly outshines its anime adaptation. Fruits Basket is the story of a girl named Toru Honda. At a glance, and especially when compared to the other characters, Toru is very normal. Her character usually shines because of her kindness. Toru constantly puts others above herself, even when it's at her own expense. As you can imagine, this makes her a very easy person to like. Unfortunately, she's also a bit of an airhead. When the story starts, Toru has been recently orphaned. She was staying with her grandfather, but his house is being remodeled. Instead of imposing on one of her friends' families, she decides to camp out in a tent in the woods. Now this is where the real story starts, because Toru soon learns that the land she's camping on belongs to the Soma family. Living in a house far out into the woods are Yuki Soma, one of her classmates, and his older cousin, Shigure Soma. After her tent is destroyed in a landslide, Shigure lets her stay with them under the condition that she does their housework to work for her room and board. Soon after Toru moves in, Kyo Soma, another cousin who's been missing for the past 4 months, also returns home, and this makes up most of our main cast. So much of this show revolves around the characters that I really do want to do each of them justice, but if I take the time to detail out every aspect of who they are, we will be here forever. So I'm going to do my best to talk about the characters while discussing the story. In the process of trying to break up a fight between Yuki and Kyo, Toru loses her footing and accidentally hugs Kyo, turning him into a cat. When Shigure turns into a dog and Yuki turns into a rat, they don't really have any choice but to tell Toru about the Soma family's secret. 13 members of the Soma family are cursed, possessed by the 12 spirits of the Chinese zodiac and the cat, who in the story was supposed to be a part of the zodiac until the rat tricked him into missing the banquet, which is an animosity that has carried through to present day, as you can see with Yuki and Kyo's relationship. The curse is that whenever these 13 are hugged by a member of the opposite sex or become really weak, they turn into their zodiac animal. This makes for a pretty big cast when you add in Akito, the head of the Soma family, and Toru's 2 best friends, who all have their place as main characters also. One by one, Toru meets the other cursed members of the Soma family. Most importantly, in the beginning anyway, Hattori Soma. Hattori is the dragon, and Akito's right-hand man of sorts, as well as doctor. He has the power to erase people's memories should they happen upon the family secret. Now, if you clicked on this review just to get a general overview of the story to decide whether you would be interested or not, this is the point where you might want to stop. The rest of the review is a spoiler-filled zone. You have been warned. For whatever reason, possibly personal enjoyment, Akito lets Toru keep her memories and continue living in Shigure's house. This, of course, leads to a lot of curiosity about this girl, so it's not long before the other Zodiac members arrive on the scene, sometimes with the sole purpose of meeting Toru. I've already mentioned that I love this series. This is because Fruits Basket has a lot to offer. Yes, it can be almost overwhelmingly sappy and sweet sometimes, but it can also be very funny, deep, and dark. Every character has a sad backstory, the telling of which is usually accompanied by some deep, heartfelt insight about life. But while this aspect of the story sometimes seemed a little overdone, it was also something I really liked about Fruits Basket. No character was overlooked. It really added to the story and the theme of demons may come in all shapes and sizes, but everyone has them. Now, I mentioned that the anime cut off before it was even halfway through the storyline. Kyo is forced to wear this bracelet with beads made from blood and bone. This is true for all of those cursed with the spirit of the cat. Around the point that the anime cut off, Toru learns that once those beads are taken off, Kyo transforms into a monster. Anyway, this is the end of the anime, but it's really only a beginning for the manga, volume 6 out of 23. This was a turning point for Toru. In the beginning, she loved the idea of the bond the Zodiac curse created, but as the story went on, she came to realize how they all suffered for it. After meeting all 13 of the Zodiac members, Toru learns that Akito is more than just the head of the Soma family. In terms of the Zodiac, Akito's role is that of God. Toru is told that once he graduates, Kyo will be locked up, and all the other Zodiac members will have to live in the main house with Akito forever. When she learns this, her focus changes to trying to find a way to break the curse. Now, the other big reveal around this point is the spoiler that isn't really a spoiler. I say this because by this time it's circulated enough so that all fans of Fruits Basket, even the ones who've never read the manga, know that Akito is really a girl. She was raised as a boy by her mentally unstable mother. See, even the closest thing we have to a villain in this show has a sad backstory, which has bled over into Akito's personality, leading to crazy control issues and an intense fear of abandonment. Yeah, even once she'd been explained and tried to redeem herself, I couldn't bring myself to like Akito, and unfortunately she kind of brought Shigure down with her. It's not the fact that they end up together in the end. The kind of devotion he showed to Akito was actually really admirable. It was what was done to his character. In the beginning, I originally characterized Shigure to be genuinely kind. A pervert, yes, but wise and ultimately a good person. And he definitely got points for the deep talk he had with Kyo in Volume 1 about bonding with other people. But then things took a dark turn for Shigure. Now, adding a dark side to a character is rarely a bad thing. It usually makes them much more three-dimensional. And that's not to say this wasn't true for Shigure, but as the story progressed, the side of him that was a selfish, manipulative asshole just seemed to take over until all of the things I'd originally liked about his character seemed non-existent. Now, here's where things get a little sketchy for me. Overall, I feel like I really got this story. I'm a reader, and there are some stories that I just really connect with, and this was one of them. But then there's the ending. In the end, they do break the curse, and it's all heartfelt and emotional, but there is one thing that's not totally clear to me. What role exactly does Toru play in breaking the curse? Once her new goal has been established, Toru comes to know Isuzu Soma, the horse. She is one of the more interesting stories, and is one of the characters that wasn't included in the anime. Isuzu is in love with Hatsuharu, the ox, because Akito has trouble accepting that the members of the Zodiac could be close to someone other than herself. Isuzu's goal has also become to break the curse, and she's taken her fair share of abuse because of this. But mostly I bring this up because ultimately, in terms of breaking the curse, all Isuzu's troubles amount to nothing. The Zodiac curse doesn't seem to be the sort of thing that can be forcefully broken. So then we come to Toru. Toru is given a lot of credit for breaking the curse, but I'm not entirely sure if that credit is due. I've looked back through the ending a lot, but I still can't decide if she was the catalyst or just a fortunate coincidence. If we're looking at this under the assumption that the curse broke because all the characters came to some deeper understanding of themselves, ultimately leading to Akito releasing her hold on them, then yes, Toru was incredibly necessary to the curse breaking, but there are always exceptions, which leads to another way of looking at things. Near the end, there's one really emotional chapter where you see all the characters realize that the curse has lifted. all the characters with 2 exceptions. For Momiji, the rabbit, the curse broke quite some time before the end, but this could still stick with the first theory. Momiji has always come across as mature for his age, and meeting and bonding with Toru could have been the final link for him. But the one that really throws me off is Kurano, the bird. At the start of the story, Kurano's curse has been broken for years, long before Toru came into the picture. Added to this is a point Shigure makes, that this generation is the first time all of the Zodiac members have been alive at the same time, making it sound as if the curse was going to break anyway. So taking both of these sides into consideration, I have to conclude that it was a little of both. Now, I have mentioned time and time again that I'm not really one for romance, but it fit into this story really well, maybe because I never took its attempted love triangle seriously. I know there's still some debate amongst Fruits Basket fans today about who she should have ended up with, but I never doubted that Toru was going to end up with Kyo. At any rate, the love stories were done so that they fit into the story, they didn't distract you from it, and I was really pleased with how all the pairings turned out at the end. The scary thing is, there are still things I could discuss, but this review has gone on long enough. In total, Fruits Basket has 23 manga volumes and various other merchandise. The series was written by Natsuki Takaya, and though it was completed a few years ago now, it can probably still be found wherever manga is sold. I still see it whenever I go to the bookstore. I definitely suggest checking this series out if you haven't already. It's worth it. Thank you for watching.